The University of Limpopo has been criticized by the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education for its alleged failure to apply the National Qualifications Framework. This is after the university informed some students that their degrees would not be confirmed. This is because their previous qualifications were not recognized. Joining us is Victor Swana, the Marketing and Communication Executive Director at the University of Limpopo. Dr. Swana, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this afternoon. So we previously had a discussion with the chair of the Committee of Higher Education, and he's alleged that the committee does not quite understand the failure of the university to understand and apply the National Qualifications Framework. Let's just have a listen to that clip before we start our conversation.
There seems to be a problem at the University of Limpopo with understanding a simple NQF National Qualification Framework articulation. You'll remember that in January, the High Court of Limpopo would have ruled in favor of two students, Pilisiwe Cele and Ntando Mguni, when the university 2 years ago refused them to graduate because they came from a University of Technology. Instead of having a degree, they would have had an advanced diploma and all of that. But that is a simple issue of understanding the National Qualification Framework, because the National Qualification Framework will tell you about the NQF level. So advanced diploma is NQF level 7, a degree is NQF level 7. So whether you have done advanced diploma or a degree, it's the same level of qualification. You can then go and do an honors or postgraduate diploma, which is NQF level 8. So the problem there is the university not understanding the NQF framework.
So that's Mr. Tebogo, who's the chairperson of the committee. I see you shaking your head there, but he says a simple issue of understanding the framework. What's your take on that?
Goodness. Okay. I drove 350 kilometers to be in your studio, Katlego.
Yes.
Because this is a tragedy. A 65-year-old university with 24,000 students that offers qualifications of world renown, that performs above average in critical areas like chartered accountancy, competency assessment, cannot be reduced to this. So I want to talk about substance, I want to talk about procedure, and I want to talk about character. First of all, if the University of Limpopo did not understand the National Qualifications Framework, it would not be a registered public university. It would not have the CHE recognition that it has. It would not be able to train a single student. We have 24,000. And we have not been training students for a year. We've been doing it for 66 years. Right?
Right.
We would not be having professional bodies like the Health Professions Council come into us, accrediting our MBCHB, our optometry, our pharmacy qualifications, giving us maximum allowable recognition. We wouldn't be recognized by the Nursing Council, by the social work professionals. The Law Council would not recognize our legal training. SAYS would not recognize the teachers that we train. So Honorable Litsie can find something else. He's talking about two cases where a court has determined that the university must redetermine the outcome of its processes. That process is underway. The university is underway in reassessing and looking at the case as directed by the court. It is not proper for Honorable Litsie to take the matters of two students and discuss them in the media. As I am not going to encourage you to ask me to do that. All I can say is this: the court ruled and said, we are not a university. We can't tell the university to award the degrees. But we also believe that the university might arrive at a different conclusion. So we are recommending, we are directing that you redetermine. Once that redetermination has been concluded,
Right.
the students will decide whether they are happy, and if they are not happy, they can take further action, and so can the university.
The committee is just concerned that there seems to be a growing number of these type of complaints. In fact, they're saying that there are 9 grievances so far, and this seems to be apart from the 2 that the court has
I
ruled
don't know
on.
about those 9 grievances. If he has them, I'm sure he can advise them to do the same thing as the 2 master's candidates did.
Right.
But I want to talk about the real, what I consider the reason. Because you see, I call him Honorable Litsie because he is an elected public representative. So I respect the people who elected him. But I also respect and will protect my university. Not because it's mine, but because it's a national treasure. All right? It's got professors like this man here who are respected all over the world, who are academics that are respected. On the 20th of November, the parliamentary committee that he chairs convened and asked our leadership to come to Cape Town to answer some questions. They said, come and give presentations. I'll try and be quick so that I don't take too long. They ran circles around our management, disrespecting them, but that was not the point. On the 4th of December, he, Honorable Litsie, made a statement, issued a statement, that he had instructed the minister to appoint an administrator and an assessor for the university. On the same 4th, the university wrote to the minister because she had committed to do the same. The minister wrote to us and asked for information. We exchanged information, I won't go into detail, but the minister eventually on the 12th of February this year acknowledged that the university is on solid ground, it's run properly. It doesn't mean there are no mistakes, but she said, I will engage with you according to the Act, the Higher Education Act, which is the statute that created the university. That was our impression, that the matter has been closed with the minister. She even sent some of the deputies to the university to assess the readiness of the institution that we had started in 2025 and we were on course. Surprisingly, on the 28th of March, the university gets summons from Xolile George, the Secretary of Parliament, summoning 3, I think, of our executives to send some information. The university then asked for the order, the summons to be set aside. Why? Because when you issue summons to ask for documents from a university, you must tell the university what you're going to use the documents for. You must mention the date and place of the hearing where the documents will be used, right?
Right.
You must also tell them the purpose, and you must tell them the topic or what you're going to be discussing. All those were not complied with, and that's where the university wrote a letter to Xolile George's secretary, sent an email, and have the document via the sheriff delivered to his offices. When they got there, they met somebody, not Xolile George, but somebody who said, no, you've already sent the email, you don't have to send us anything. That's how you hear Honorable Litsie saying the university is not responding to someone's request to. There's no request that the university has not responded to. But here is the last thing that I want to say about character. When you are an honorable member of parliament, you swear, you take an oath to respect the laws of the country. And most of the laws, including the Constitution, have procedures that are prescribed.
Right.
When you have a problem with an institution, we are not perfect. You follow the same process. But here is how I characterize Honorable Litsie. He's like the school principal who calls a parent to his office because maybe the child of the parent has misbehaved. Somebody complained. Before he establishes the facts, he conducts a hearing, and when the parents go home, he goes onto TikTok, onto Twitter, and he starts talking about the contents of the case. That's not character. That's not the character that I expect. So in closing, I'll say, we are not going to build anything in South Africa if we trash what we have inherited. Now, I don't know what Honorable Litsie has built in his life, but I know that honorable people, honorable South Africans built the University of Limpopo. Very professional people continue to work at that institution. Students, 24,000 of them depend on this. More than 70% of them depend on grants, which means they can't study anywhere else. It is regrettable that a public representative like Honorable Litsie can make it his business to go into public media and trash an institution like that, rather than follow the processes of the parliament that he's a member of.
So are you saying that some of the assertions that he is making are untrue? I mean, one of them is that they've asked for the university to present a report with regards to the utilization of the incurred legal fees in 2023-2024 that have come up to about 14 million rands. Have you given that itemized report in terms of how these legal fees were incurred?
Twice there has been an attempt to get the information from the university. The first time in December by the minister, and the university wrote to the minister and said, okay, give us the details of this information, because Honorable Litsia does not use any concrete or objective facts. He says, we heard, we hear, people are approaching. That's not how a parliamentary committee will operate. I'm not saying you can't take public input, but I'm saying we wrote to the minister, and that's how I'm saying the minister eventually came back to us and acknowledged that if there's anything that needs to be done, it has to be done in accordance with the Higher Education Act. And that's why I'm saying suddenly on the 28th of March this year, we got the summons and we didn't even refuse to respond. We said, make sure that your summons complies with the law, which is tell us what detail you're looking for, what you're going to use it for, because you can't just say there are allegations that people are getting fired without process. There are allegations that people are afraid of management. What are you saying? How do I respond as a university to a statement like that? So the letter of the 4th of April from the university said, please specify these things because that's what the law requires you to do. When you ask for this information, give us specifics. Don't say your legal fees have come to 14 million. What is the basis? What informs that? And what informs the fact that we have more than doubled? You know, he says things like that, as if he read the financials and he checked the legal statements, audited, and he came to that. He did none of that. He just makes statements. But even when he makes such wild statements, we still ask, it's okay, Honorable Litsia, but do it in accordance with the law. The 4th of April was the last correspondence that we had, and we were just asking the parliamentary committee and parliament to comply with the law, because otherwise it's going to be bullying.
Well, I mean, some of the things that they are asking, I suppose, within those summons is for the university to give their current employee retention policy, your CCMA awards, which you have rejected and which you have not, and as well as details around your employees, and just the general governance of the university seems to be at the heart of the contention.
No, you're falling into his trap. I'm saying to you, if you are asking for any information from a public university, according to the Constitution and the Powers, Privileges and Immunities Act, you have to do it and specify. I need this information for this purpose, and this is the specific that I'm looking for. The university has had more than 10 years of unqualified audits. More than 10 years. It's not the University of Limpopo saying that. It's external independent auditors. If you rank the universities in South Africa, all 26 public, the University of Limpopo is in the top 10 when it comes to financial liquidity, not just financial soundness, but liquidity. And I told you, more than 70% of our students depend on grants. So you're servicing the poorest students, but you're still financially sound. And not only are you financially sound, you are liquid. And not only that, you are expanding more than most universities, and you are able to continue offering, and you are getting unqualified audits. You can't go into the media and make statements against the university like that. If you believe there is that, be specific, do it in accordance with the law. That's why I said I'm about substance, I'm about procedures,
and character.
And about character.
All right, Mr. Khumeswana, thank you so much for driving all the way to come and clarify certainly a conversation that needs to continue in ensuring that the most vulnerable students that are at that university are serviced in the way that they should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ntate Victor Khumeswana is the Marketing and Communications Director at the University of Limpopo. Well, as